to bring back, you know, just helping to bring back characters like Dargo who might not necessarily, you know,
hey, what's up, everyone?
live on Ixalan or be
God,
part of the
sudden
Ixalan
spoilers.
story, but
I thought another show was going to take over. So
they're so fitting with the setting
DJ
that
Long
it's fun
here.
to bring them back.
Let's see what they got.
Gotta have a giant pirate. Next up, we have a returner from previous Ixalan, Pitiless Plunderer. So this one seems like a slam dunk, Chris.
That's right. A card from the original Ixalan. And that was actually the first set that had treasure tokens, which have gone on to become such a big part of you know, various different Magic sets, and especially attached to pirates. We'll see a lot of pirates with treasure in the main set as well as in the commander deck. So this was just a great, you know, slam dunk, obvious throwback, very heavily played commander card.
Oh yeah, I have this in one of my decks as well. We do have a question in chat that's a good one here. So this is asking to confirm they won't appear in limited play. That's correct for this set, because we did just announce play boosters. In the future, they will appear in play boosters and they will be in for limited play. But for this set, they're in set boosters and collector boosters, so they will not be in draft boosters for this set. All right, so those were two of the uncommons we had to show off. We've got some spicy ones next, so let's take a look at Rampaging Ferocidon. So tell us about this card's inclusion.
That's right, Rampaging Ferocidon, one of the most constructed relevant dinosaurs the first time around that we came to Ixalan, has had a long life elsewhere beyond that. So this one, again, just a great nostalgic throwback to the original Ixalan. And since, you know, we have dinosaurs in a couple different planes now, but with Ixalan being such a dinosaur-focused setting, the place where we really want to show off the dinosaurs, we really wanted to bring back a couple of well-known, very popular dinosaurs, which we might get to another one.
We might get to another one coming up.
Oh yeah.
But this is also a set about vampires, and this one is somewhat of a classic combo vampire. Mephrodos Vampire.
I blinked and missed it.
Art right there. Tell us about this inclusion.
That's right. So this one is definitely a way further throwback in terms of older cards. But I think it is an example of,
I like this one.
Special guests can really reach far back into the long history of Magic and bring back some old favorites, you know, with an updated look.
Yeah, and this one's got some combos. If you don't know, there are a few things you can do with this card to wipe a board.
That's right. This you know, it doesn't say combat damage on there.
It does not say combat damage. So yeah, you can find a way to deal damage using +1/+1 counters. There you go. There's your hint. All right, next up. So this one was an interesting inclusion for me because it's a legend who's clearly never been to this plane before, because she's dead.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Miri Weatherlight Duelist.
That's right. So if you've been paying attention to the main set spoilers, you might have seen, and also the story of Ixalan, Lost Caverns of Ixalan, you might have seen that one of the multiple civilizations that the surface dwellers of Ixalan discover when they're traveling into the inner world is the Jaguar folk. And we had a lot of fun with these, you know, the green-white cat faction. And we felt like for special guests, you know, because this is a new faction that we're introducing, we don't have a lot of explicit characters or things that we can bring back, but we thought it would be fun to go back and get some other cats, memorable cats from the history of Magic to bring back. So here is one of the multiple Miri cards. This one from Commander Product that I believe I was on the design team for.
Probably.
But yeah, so just bringing back some cat-themed cards to go along with the cat-themed faction on this new Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
And she's kind of a pirate. They didn't really plunder things, but they were on a boat.
They were on a boat. That is true.
But I want to talk about it afterwards.
You know? It works. The vibe's right. Now, before I go on to the next one, I do want to pause on. No, back to the card. Pause. That was unintentional. That set symbol. So I've gotten some questions about the set symbol. Can you talk a little bit about how we're positioning special guests with the set symbol, the numbering, that sort of thing?
Tortoise, how are they positioning special guests?
This set symbol,
right?
That looks pretty good. Lost Caverns of Ixalan special guest, but it is in fact the special guest set symbol, and that symbol will continue on for future sets that have special guests. And the numbering
SPG at the bottom too.
So it will not reset with each set, but instead will continue on from, I believe there's 18 in Lost Caverns of Ixalan. So with the next set, it'll start off with 19,
Jetsons so we can get Sprockets?
Okay, so it's going to be like a subset of cards that is found in each set going forward.
That's right.
Very cool. All right, now we can move on to the next card. Another cat person, Lord Windgrace.
That's right. Speaking of cats,
all right.
Here we definitely have maybe a little bit less piratey of a cat.
A little bit less piratey.
But, yeah, Lord Windgrace, very popular commander.
But in 30 with cats was the
the land theme, and especially the sort of lands in your graveyard theme can combine well with a lot of the different graveyard dissenting mechanics in the set. But really, I think this is just an example of special guests. Some of them are going to be throwbacks to directly, old Ixalan cards. We're on Ixalan, so we're throwing back to old Ixalan cards. But some of the special guests will just be, here is an awesome card. We want to bring it back. And that is more kind of thematically connected to the set. So in this case, again, going with what are some fun cats that we can bring back? Some famous cats from the history of Magic.
Well, I think we saw kind of the same thing when we revealed Lord of Atlantis as a special guest, just because there's a heavy merfolk theme.
That's right. There's no Atlantis on Ixalan, but the merfolk theme is so fitting. So
speaking of fitting themes, our final special guest that we're revealing today is about as fitting as you can get, because here is Carnage Tyrant.
Reprint already.
I'd ask you why you included this in the set, but it seems pretty obvious.
All these cards are reprint.
Again, one of the most memorable from cool, the first time around. Carnage Tyrant, been much beloved by many players and the bane of many a control player. So again, just something that we thought would be a fun throwback. These cards really allow us, special guests really allow us to bring back these, nostalgic cards without, we can reprint cards in the main set, but there's a lot of considerations that have to go into that.
I didn't want to die to this card anymore, so I appreciate you keeping it out of the main set.
That's right, yeah. So being able to bring back these old nostalgic cards without necessarily having to introduce them to standard.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really great way of bringing
Blue
back
players love it.
Yeah. I wouldn't call this a favorite of mine. I died to
this favorite card. Of many, not of Blake.
Not of mine. I died to this card. Maybe more than any other green creature I've ever died to. Maybe. Possibly. All right. So those are the special guests. Really looking forward to those. Again, those are available in set boosters and collector boosters. In the future, they will be available in play boosters. All right. So now let's talk about the set booster exclusive cards, which, speaking of which, this is the last batch of set booster exclusive cards.
That's right. It's the last set with set boosters. So it's the last set of set booster exclusives. They will be missed. They will be missed.
But we're going to go through a bunch of cool ones. We've got a ton of double face cards here and some non-double face cards.
That's right.
So we're going to go through these. And you designed these cards, correct?
That's right. So I was the lead for Lost Caverns of Ixalan Commander, which means that these set booster exclusives also fell within my purview. So we've got a lot of cards here that have a special place in my heart. And a few of them are cards that I just personally really wanted to exist. And I was like, here's my shot.
This is my opportunity. All right. So the Chris Mooney special list of set booster exclusives. First, Illustrious Wanderglyph, a 4 and a white for an artifact creature golem. It's got Ascend. We'll talk about that in a second. Other artifact creatures you control get +2/+2 as long as you have the city's blessing. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature token, and it's a 2/2. You brought back Ascend.
That's right. So speaking of kind of pet cards I want to make. So for anyone who knows me, probably knows that I have been the white color pie counselor for a number of years. And one of the things that I like to do is try to find cards in the history of Magic that I think should be white. And this card is a direct reference to, I'm sure, a lot of people who...
It took me a sec, but
yeah. It's Tendershoot Dryad, which was a card that made Saproings in Rivals of Ixalan. That's a card where, making lots of little 1/1s and then at some point boosting your whole team. It just felt like such a perfect white card to me. I was like, I really want to make a white version of this card at some point. And with returning to Ixalan, that being a great place to bring Ascend back, this felt like an excellent time for me to do that. I did submit it, and we played around with the numbers a bit, but eventually we came back to the same
Just
spot. We were
straight
like,
back,
no, these are the right numbers. This is what we think is the most fun. In this case, Illustrious Wanderglyph, gets to play a little bit into the fun gnome theme that that Lost Caverns of Ixalan has. Additionally, Illustrious Wanderglyph, it gives that boost to all artifact creatures, not just gnomes. So there's going to be a bit of an additional application beyond just a gnome-themed deck or playing this card on its own. But I love bringing back old mechanics. I think that commander decks and then also these set booster exclusive cards are great places for us to bring back mechanics that might not have enough space for a full set, but are something that players, they're fun, that players will enjoy seeing them again. There's a lot of nostalgia. And so getting to bring them back on just a couple of cards, it's a really fun opportunity.
Absolutely. All right, next up, we have Altar of the Wretched and Wretched Bone Mass. So Altar of the Wretched is an artifact for 2 and a black. When Altar of the Wretched enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a non-token creature. If you do, draw X cards, then mill X cards, where X is the creature's power. Then you can craft with 1 or more creatures for 2 and black, and 2 black, return Altar of the Wretched from your graveyard to your hand. Then if you do craft with that Altar of the Wretched, you get the Wretched Bone Mass, a star skeleton horror whose power and toughness are each equal to the total power of the exiled cards used to craft it, hence the 1 or more creatures. Wretched Bone Mass has flying as long as an exiled card used to craft it has flying. The same is true for that whole list of abilities right below there. All right, tell us about the creation of this card.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. This one is definitely a wordy one.
It is.
That listing out all the keywords takes a lot of space. But essentially, so something like you said, we're about to see a lot of double-faced cards here when we're looking at these set booster exclusives. And the reason for that is because commander decks, we just because of printing technology, we can't really put double-faced cards into our commander decks.
Yeah.
So what that means is that typically when we're designing new cards, we aren't able to make new double-faced cards, which
specifically for commander. Yeah.
For commander, exactly. But since these are set booster exclusives and they're being printed alongside everything else, we actually had the opportunity here to make some double-faced cards.
Seems like a lot
and
to dump into it, though.
One of the mechanics of the set, crafting, was something that we really wanted to explore.
You had a bunch of tokens with different abilities. It'd be cool.
We just didn't have the opportunity to do so.
I think that's
so in this case, Altar of the Wretched is a card where you want to have a bunch of stuff in your graveyard and then craft it all together into one big amalgamation. We thought that using these set booster cards to explore the different ways that you can use the crafting cards.
No, you can't do non-token.
For smoothness of gameplay and simplicity, a lot of cards in the main set are, craft with an artifact and you get the backside. But for a lot of these set booster cards, we wanted to say, what if you encourage you to craft different things and really build your deck around fulfilling the crafting requirements? So in this case, you want to have a bunch of cool creatures that you can smash together into your Wretched Bone Mass. And if it dies, you can pay to bring it back and hopefully try to make a second Wretched Bone Mass.
All right, very cool. All right, next up, another double-faced card. We've got
it's interesting, though.
Rich Stalactite and Cosmium Catalyst. So it's another kind of 2-mana rock. So 1 and a red, tap to add a red, spend this mana only to cast an instant or sorcery spell. And then you can craft with 4 or more red instant and or sorcery cards and 3 red. And then the backside, that Cosmium Catalyst there for 1 and a red.
They're in your graveyard, so yeah.
Card used to craft Cosmium Catalyst at random. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Tell us about this card.
So this was a card that we were really excited to. We started with that idea of what if you crafted with a bunch of instant and sorceries, which isn't something that you'll see a lot of in the main set. And then you get to cast them for free on the backside. But we wanted to make sure that there was a sufficiently red element to it. We thought that this idea of having to put a bunch of spells in it and then getting them out at random added a fun excitement that made it. You really had to build your deck and fill your graveyard in a certain way to get the most out of it, to make sure that each of your random flips was hitting something that was powerful and that was useful to you. Additionally, just on the front side, we were excited. 2 mana rocks can be very powerful. So we wanted to make sure that this entire card was really encouraging you to put this in a very heavily spell-based red deck.
Yeah, it's a 2-mana rock, but only for certain things, and it's useful if you build your deck that way, but not so much if you're trying to cast creatures.
That's right. So as a spell slinger player myself, I'm very excited to put this in some of my red spell-based decks. Get a lot of value out of the mana, and then in the late game, start slinging spells for free and seeing what happens.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a momentary break from
bank.
double face cards to take a look at Contest of Claws. So this is 1 and a green for a sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. So it's a bite, as you will. If excess damage was dealt this way, discover X, where X is that excess damage. Interesting twist on this sort of effect.
Interesting.
That's right. Another thing that we like to do with the commander cards is find interesting ways of reusing main set mechanics.
Not yet,
things
Prime.
that weren't
We do have
being
Carnage
done by the
Tyrant in
main
the
set.
special guest
And
slot.
we thought that this was a fun way,
Carnage Tyrant.
Discover, which is our kind of new version of Cascade. One of the things that it does is it allows you to cascade through all sorts of different means, not just by casting the spell.
Yeah.
And so in this case, saying like, oh, I want to have a big creature, I want to bite something, and then I'll get an even free bonus thing out of it. We thought was just a really fun way of using the mechanic and sort of encouraging you to play this kind of like green interactive spell in your large creature decks.
Yeah. Well, and I love that there's a couple things I love about this card.
Right, Dystopian?
In the past, if you were playing Cascade, this is the kind of
what's up,
card
Johnny?
you wouldn't necessarily want in your deck because of the way Cascade worked. But Discover works a little bit differently.
That's right. Because you don't have to cast the spell, you can just decide to put this card in your hand and save it for a better opportune moment later on in the game.
Yeah. And the other thing I like is that it keys on the excess damage. So most of the time you want to kill, the biggest thing, the scariest thing. But with this one, you might want to kill the thing that gives you the best Discover number, whatever that might be.
That's right. I mean,
did you see the
using
Super
your 6-power
Dreadmaw
creature to kill their 5 toughness creature and then getting to cascade into your soul ring. That's a pretty nice, pretty nice sequence of events. So even for lower values of X, you're still going to get a lot of usefulness out of this.
Absolutely. All right, back to
here we
double
go.
face cards. Well, at least
Lawnmower.
one, and then we'll skip, and then we'll go to double face cards. And there's double face cards. We'll just keep going. Next up, we have Tetsun Gnome Champion. This is a blue, red, and a white.
Gnome Tribal, here we go.
Legendary artifact creature Gnome, for those of you wanting to build a Gnome commander deck. Whenever Tetsun or another double-faced artifact enters the battlefield under your control, mill 3 cards. You may put an artifact card from among them into your hand, and then you can craft with 6 artifacts and 4. And when you do, it flips into the Golden Gear Colossus, who is a 6/6 with Vigilance and Trample. And whenever the Golden Gear Colossus enters the battlefield or attacks, transform up to 1 other target double-faced artifact you control. Create 2 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens. There's a little treat at the end there.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Tell us about this
right.
card.
Prime.
So Tetsun is one of 2 commanders that we made. And with the set booster exclusive, it allows us to make commanders for strategies that might not have enough support or be for us will have difficulty making a precon. As we said, kind of the double-faced thing, we can't make double-faced pre-constructed commander decks. So we wanted to make a commander in these set booster cards that would allow people to really go all in on double-faced artifacts.
So
this is something
this
that
is gonna be the
features
last
heavily in
commander
Caverns
exclusive
Mixed
cards
Line, but
again?
also in many other previous Magic sets that have double-faced
I don't know.
cards. So
It's ridiculous.
we wanted this card to basically, reward you for playing lots of double-faced artifacts. The backside allows you to just flip any double-faced artifact you have, which can be very powerful since a lot of double-faced artifacts have a kind of challenging quest
Transformers
in order to be able to transform them.
Yeah.
But also on top of that, we knew that there were going to be a lot of people who loved the gnomes. There's this awesome gnome designs in Lost Caverns of Ixalan that really incorporated the old tech sort of architecture and shape language, which is something that we wanted to make sure that people who loved those little guys were going to actually be able to build a deck with one of them in the command zone. So that's also Tetsun is here to hopefully satisfy them. You take all your gnomes, you take all your crafting cards, throw them together, and have a pretty fun deck.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Talk in. Oh wait, nope, I skipped one. Nope. What What's his name again?
Xavier.
Javier
Javier
Sal,
Sal.
Infested Captain. There we go. I got ahead of myself on the sheet.
Yar.
But I don't want to get ahead of this card because
Oh.
it says populate and proliferate. I'm going to read the whole thing, but that's kind of the TLDR. It populates and it proliferates. Black,
Interesting.
green, blue for a legendary creature. Human fungus pirate. 3/3. Remove a counter from
So
another
it's a
permanent
pirate that
control.
really needs a shower.
Populate. Activate only as a
Yeah.
sorcery.
They
Sacrifice
kind of made
another
him look like
creature.
a pirate from Pirates of the
Proliferate.
Caribbean.
Activate only
Oh,
as a
right.
sorcery.
Yeah.
This card seems kind of wild. Besides just being a fungus pirate.
That's an interesting
It
card.
definitely is. So
Yeah.
Javier Sal was a character that is from the stories, from the world building, and they were like, we would really love for you to use this character. For a while, Javier Sal was actually the leader of
Make
the
myself some
pirate
coffee. I'll be
commander
right
deck.
back.
But at some point, we
All right.
decided, the flavor just doesn't seem right. We want Javier to really be the sort of fungus pirate, and so that's where Admiral Brass took over the pirate
Yep.
deck, and we had a much a triumphant return of Admiral Brass to lead the Pirates Precon. So Javier Sal then got his own card in the set boosters, and this card
Is it
was a
Xavier,
little bit
maybe?
inspired by back in the old days. We had the original fungus, the Thalids, who
Mhm.
built
it's
up score
Xavier.
counters over time and then made sapling tokens.
Yeah.
And that sort of led us to, could we make a card that used the two very fun words to say, populate and proliferate, together? So that's what inspired Javier's design. Obviously, there are many, many cards in Magic
This
that
and
make
that
tokens
crazy
and
serpent.
have
Oh,
counters
boy.
on them, or
Yep.
do both. And so Javier Sal has just tons and tons of interesting things that you can do with him, building around him in Commander. But
Yeah,
if
it's
you
Xavier.
do want to play with those old Thalids, he'll also be pretty good at helping them out as well.
Definitely. All right. Now we're on to Eye of O'Hare Talk. / Apex Observatory. So this is a 3-mana artifact. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. And then craft with 2 cards that share a card type and 6 mana. And then it flips into Apex Observatory when you craft it. Apex Observatory enters the battlefield tapped. As it enters, choose a card type shared among 2 exiled cards used to craft it. And then tap the next spell you cast this turn of the chosen type can be cast without paying its mana cost. There's those keywords, without paying
Hey,
its
Lawson.
mana cost.
How you
That's
doing?
right. It's very exciting.
Little brain. How you
This
going,
is
brother?
a card, so we were definitely going after, let's make some fun crafting cards that care about the cards that you use to craft them. So this card, you want to put it in sort of a deck that has a lot of matching card types, an artifact-themed deck, an enchantment-themed deck, or even just an all-creatures deck. And then by crafting with 2 of those matching cards out of your graveyard, you can now start casting a bunch of spells from your hand for free. It's pretty expensive to craft, so you'll definitely want to be able to have a lot of expensive things to put into play with it in order to reap the benefits of the costs. But of course, a 3-mana, mono rock, not too shabby either. So if you play it early, it'll hold its own for a while, but really you're looking for that juicy payoff at the end with the crafting.
Absolutely. All right.
A
And
lot of
our
work
final
to
set
craft.
booster exclusive card forever. Paleontologist's Pickaxe and Dinosaur Headdress. So for 2 mana, you get an artifact equipment. Whenever equipped creature attacks, draw a card, then discard a card.
Nice.
Great.
All right.
Crafting. Equip 1,
Okay.
and then craft with 1 or more creatures and 5 mana to turn it into a Dinosaur Headdress. When Dinosaur Headdress enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. As Dinosaur Headdress becomes attached to a creature, choose an exiled creature card used to craft Dinosaur Headdress. Equipped creature is a copy of the last chosen card. And equip 2. All right,
Interesting.
tell us about this wild card.
Yeah, so again, this card was, what's a fun thing to do with crafting? Oh, what if you could become a copy of the thing that you crafted with? So we designed this around, the front half being an equipment that allowed you to kind of fill your graveyard, maybe with some powerful creatures that you want to copy. And then you get to craft an equipment that essentially allows you to turn any of your creatures into those. Something that was fun about this card is that for a long time, it just crafted with 1 creature. You could become a copy of that one. But actually, when we were templating the card, when we were making sure that it worked within the rules, it was like, hey, this would actually be easier to write and more fun if we allowed you to craft with multiple creatures. So now you can put multiple creatures in the mask, and as you move it around, you can pick to become copies of different things.
Very cool.
So yeah, this is a fun one to find interesting combinations of things that you can become copies of, and just generally a fun payoff for filling your graveyard.
Yeah. I am seeing a couple questions in chat just about what these cards are, where they're from. The set booster exclusives, again, come in set boosters. They can also be found in collector boosters in that extended frame that we saw. And they are Eternal Legal. So Commander Legal is what they're primarily designed for, but you could, if you're going wild, play them in Legacy or Vintage, I guess. But yeah, and they'll also be the last set booster exclusives that we do.
That's right. They were fun to make, and I hope that you all enjoy, especially our one opportunity to make some extra double-faced cards.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we've got 2 more categories left to go before the end. We are going to do a Q&A after we get through the Jurassic World cards. So if you have questions in chat, I've been watching and answering some as we go along. But if you have specific questions about the design of any of these cards for Chris, about Lost Caverns of Ixalan, or anything related, feel free to tag @Magic in chat, and we'll get to whatever questions we can answer here. All right, next up are the treasure troves. So these are box toppers, and we have 3 to show you here. We have Everflowing Chalice, a personal favorite of mine, Stryonic Resonator, a personal favorite of a lot of people, and Worn Power Stone, a pretty highly used mana rock for Commander. So Chris, tell us a little bit about these cards' place in the game.
Yeah, so the treasure trove was really thought of as, Ixalan, Lost Caverns of Ixalan, the journey of the various different factions and groups from the surface through to the center of the world.
Agreed.
Many of them are on their journey to discover the lost civilizations of their ancestors, but some of them, they're there for treasure. And the treasure trove really represents a couple of powerful, exciting, nostalgic artifacts from Magic's history.
So far, the biggest one is
in these beautiful new Ixalan.
What is it?
Yeah,
the one that auto counters.
And I love that if you have this card, another art, you can play it. It does the same
Tortoise.
thing. But if you're
what's the card's name?
This art style, if you're a fan of
that
the
auto
world of Ixalan,
you pay an X and it auto counters whatever you that is that value.
And again, these are box toppers, so you can find these.
I don't remember the name of that.
Palace of the Void, maybe. I don't know.
All right, and our final category are Jurassic World
Here
cards.
You go, Tortoise.
So we have 5 of these to show off.
More words.
First up, we have Cresting Mosasaurus.
No.
6 blue for a creature dinosaur. It has Emerge, 6 and a blue. When Cresting Mosasaurus enters the battlefield, if you cast it, return each non-dinosaur creature to its owner's hand, and it is a 4/8. So we see Emerge coming back here.
That's right. And if you've been, paying attention to the various Jurassic World previews, you've seen that this is a case where we really loved bringing back old mechanics that we, fit within the flavor of the world.
Thank you,
that allowed us to, again, give life to some older mechanics that might not come back in a major way in Magic's future, but still have a couple of, fun, interesting designs that we can make with them, and especially designs that are very flavorful. So in this case, with the Mosasaurus emerging from the water, and also the fact that it eats people.
Yep.
Emerge was just a fun, flavorful way to represent this and to make a new card with an old mechanic.
Absolutely. All right. Next up, we have Spitting Dilophosaurus. For 2 and a black, you get a creature dinosaur, of course. It's a 3/2.
Dilophosaurus.
Whenever Spitting Dilophosaurus enters the battlefield
black
or
dinos,
attacks,
Woot.
put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and creatures your opponents control with -1/-1 counters on them.
That's decent for
flavor text is
for
3-drop. Hell yeah.
well.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have a card called Savage Order. For 2,
that's gonna piss
green,
people
you
off.
get a sorcery.
Oh boy.
As an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature with power 4 or greater, not a line we see very often. Search your library for a dinosaur creature card, put it into the battlefield, then shuffle. It gains indestructible until your next turn.
Nice.
Savage Order play on natural order.
The art is dope.
And this is an example of,
mimicking.
when when we
Jurassic Park
tighten the
3.
bands a little bit, when we say, oh, you can only get dinosaurs, it means that we can also, give it a little bit of an extra boost
A little bit,
as well.
a little powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Natural Order is one of the most powerful cards ever printed, and this one is a play on that. All right, next up we have a big one, Grim Gigantosaurus.
Ooh,
for
my
5,
colors.
a black and a green.
Oh,
Feature dinosaur.
monstrosity is
It's a
horrible.
10/10.
oh wow.
It's got Monstrosity 10 for 10, a black and a green. This ability costs 1
your
less
opponent's
to activate
control?
for each
Oh.
creature with power 4 or greater, your opponent's control.
Ooh.
When Grim Gigantosaur becomes monstrous, destroy all artifacts and all creatures other than Grim Gigantosaurus. So it becomes a 20/20
That's pretty good.
and blows up a lot of
Wow.
stuff. So yeah, this is a big creature here, Chris.
That's right. And again, Monstrosity, a very fun, flavorful old Magic mechanic that it's awesome to bring back in these individual cards.
And finally,
It's just a
another
vanilla
part of the
2020, but still,
coolness of the Jurassic
after the
World
monstrosity.
cards is bring some of these characters to life. So here we have
Yay, he's
Henry
back
Wu
in colors. Woo, woo.
Geneticist. Black, green, and a blue for a 1/4 legendary creature, human scientist. Henry Rue, Geneticist, and other human creatures you control have exploit, which is an old ability that lets you sacrifice a creature when it enters the battlefield. Whenever a creature you control exploits a non-human creature, draw a card. If the exploited creature had power 3 or greater, create a treasure token. The flavor on this.
I'm a
card
hillbilly.
Yeah, it's
cool.
very on the nose. In gen, very
got
exploitative
more
of the
with face shot.
dinosaurs. And in this case, Henry Wu allows you to also exploit dinosaurs if that's what you're into.
If that's what you're into. All right. That covers all of the preview cards we had. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in chat. It helps to tag at Magic, and we will get to as many as we can. So I saw a couple here. Bring them up.
All right, now it's time for words.
When are
Let's
we
see
going
what
to
the
get a
chat's
Pioneer
saying.
legal Merfolk Lord? None spoiled yet, but we need one to make Merfolk a thing in Pioneer. We've still got previews left for this set, so I'm not going to say anything specifically about that. But there's a pretty good.
I like that. Why isn't
Rexy
Rexy a legendary?
That
Right.
might get its due. I
That's
forget what it's called. The 1/1 with flash that gives all Merfolk +1/+1 and lets you sacrifice a Merfolk to force spike something. I forget what it's called. That one's pretty good. All right, let's see. All right, let's see this. Let's see if we can answer this one. Was the set design did the set design consider the usage of cards to create diversity in eternal formats? For example, the new Dreadbore was definitely
406, have a good one.
Rakdos mid-range to trim its bad matchup. I guess you can talk. I know you weren't on that specifically, but maybe you could talk a little bit about the balance between designing for standard versus eternal formats when it goes into the card sets.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of designing for eternal formats, we definitely think about it and spend time on it. And certainly when there are cards such as that card that's being referenced, it has, if you've descended, which is obviously a mechanic that combines very well with fetch lands. So when we're making stuff like that, we're definitely clearly aware of what we are adding to. That being said, we make our sets so far in advance. And a lot of things can change between when we make the sets and when they come out. So especially for eternal formats, that's where a lot of just, our general paying attention to the format and the general health of it becomes more important. But in terms of this, I always talk about how it's pretty crazy how, currently I'm leading a set, and that set comes out in 2025.
So ways away.
Yeah, so there's a lot of time in between now and then. So we're not always going to be perfectly aware of the state of formats when we're making the sets for them. But we do think about it, especially when it comes to mechanics that we know combine well with things that are relevant to those formats.
Absolutely. Let's see. Is there an extended art version of Tetsun Gnome Champion? I don't believe we saw one when it was on screen. There is.
Yes. All the set booster exclusive cards have extended art. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Extended Tetsun.
Yep, he's sweet.
Did we get the blue set booster exclusive card, or has that been previewed by another outlet already? I think we showed off all the set booster exclusive cards.
Yes, sadly, and I apologize to all of my blue player friends out there.
Me.
There is not a blue set booster exclusive card. For a while, the paleontologist pickaxe was the blue one, but over time we said, hey, we think this can actually be colorless. We think colorless in Color Pie is allowed to do this effect, and we thought it was just a more fun card to have be colorless so that more people could put it in their decks. So I'm sorry to the blue players. We did have a blue one for a while, but eventually it became a colorless card. So you can still play it. You can still put it in all the same decks, but so can other people. So.
That's fair enough. I mean, blue's the best color. We get all the good stuff. So
that's right. You know, like I'm just doing my part to help bring blue down a couple notches. All right.
All right.
Man,
are the special guest cards
offense.
replacing the list cards? Yes, the special guest cards are part of the list. And so when you get a list card in your set booster, it can be one of those.
That's right. And
that's
to be clear,
good one,
I think
Tortoise.
for both, you know, the list for Lost Caverns of Ixalan and for the list moving forward, right? They're part of the list. They don't like fully replace the list. So there will still be other list cards. The reason why they're special though is because unlike the list cards, all of the special guests have new art. So that's what separates them from the normal list cards, that they're getting a facelift to kind of, you know, bring them up to, you know, modern, you know, Magic art or to fit in with the setting better.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do encourage you, if you have questions about the list going forward and all of that sort of stuff, you can read Mark Rosewater's article on play boosters and what's happening with those. We also did some follow-ups. We did a show on Weekly MTG where we talked a little bit about the upgrades to the list. And there was a Discord activation that we published all the questions and answers to on Daily MTG as well. So look for those if you have more questions about what the list will look like in the future. Does the rarity indicator on the special guests matter? Yes. Could you pass along the suggestion to reveal more commons earlier during preview season? It's been a rough time for us draft players. Also, Chris, love your boots.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just happen to own these boots, but they fit the costume perfectly. So.
Also, the suggestion has been passed on because it's my team that runs previews. So. You got the right place.
I'm also a draft player, and I also like seeing
that's fair. Yeah,
the cards.
Let's see. Is this all of the Jurassic World cards, or are there more? I think this is the last of them, but I would have to check the actual review plan, which I do not have in front of me. But I believe this is the rest of them.
Wow.
Let's see. Will rare or uncommon caves be in the cave slot in draft and set boosters?
That's a good question. I believe they are, but I would have to double check.
Yeah, we'd have to double check. If you have specific questions that
I think so, because you have more rares.
About the makeup of packs,
right.
There is an article called Collecting Lost Caverns of Ixalan that will tell you kind of what's in each pack, and it'll talk a lot about the slots. So if we're not able to answer a question about where something is or the makeup of a pack, you can definitely look up that article and find the answer specifically. Let's see. I know it's often requested, but I'm curious. Was a Bant Merfolk considered for the set during creation? I figured set boosters would be the best possible place for them. I'll +1 that question because I have a Merfolk deck and my commander is Chulane. So,
I mean, I can't comment on Chulane, but in terms of the Bant Merfolk, so it is something that we talked about. You know, we talked about it when building the Merfolk Commander Precon. We talked about it with the set boosters.
Hey, hometown at TCG, how you doing, buddy?
We just determined that.
I love when he opens packs. It's so
one of the
amazing.
things with Commander Precons that you have to keep in mind is that when we're building them, we sort of have to also think about what cards are going to go into the
you know what I mean?
as well.
Yeah.
And what are the themes?
They bring in some of the other designers that are like, they're
one
not
of the
very
things that we found was that when looking at Bant Merfolk, that it was challenging for us to get the deck to really connect with the themes of Ixalan The merfolk in Lost Caverns are very explore themed.
Yeah.
So they want to have that +1/+1 counters theme. A lot of the white merfolk from old Lorwyn have a totally different theme that they're working with. So we felt like in order to really express this set, in order to really express the merfolk that are here, we wanted to focus on blue and green. We spent a lot of time thinking about making a Bant merfolk, and it's certainly something that we said, hey, this is something that people will want. It's something that we should make a note of, and it's something that we should keep an eye out for our next opportunity to make.
Aw,
So
D-Lawson, you're beating
people
up
who
on
want
Sparky.
the Bant merfolk legend, we definitely are hearing you, and I've definitely passed that along to future sets that maybe have the opportunity to make a Bant merfolk as well. It's definitely not something that we're overlooking, but ultimately, from a design standpoint, we just felt like this was not the place to do it.
Fair enough. I'm going to give you a little bit of side eye, but I'll stay on them, Harlequin. I got it. I got you. I'm in the same boat. All right. Let's see. Next up. Hey, happy Halloween to you too. Let's see. Will this weekly MTG VOD be on YouTube? Yes, it will. Let's see. Okay. How do you like the gods flipping to lands concept compared to the other deities from other sets? So for those who don't know, we've done gods before, and they all have some form of immortality, we'll call it, of ways for them not to die.
Except Kaldheim.
You saw the Amonkhet ones go like third from your top of your library.
They're gods,
These
but they're
ones transform
expendable
into lands
gods.
that when you meet a condition, you can transform back. So talk a little bit about the gods and their immortality here.
Yeah, so I think when designing God cards,
The back god, though, is going to be snaggy.
One thing I often say is that gods exist on a spectrum
to a land, and then
you have the Theros gods, which are maybe some of the most like ethereal. They're not even creatures a lot of the time. Two on the other side of the spectrum are the Kaldheim gods, who are really just creatures. And because that's the way that in that mythology, gods work very differently from how they work in Greek mythology. So in general, we have always tried to figure out how can we best place the god abilities to match with the setting that we're creating, and then also to mix it up a while. I think that people, given that the gods tend to have some way of being resilient, of being hard to remove, or hard to interact with in various ways, that it could be a little bit frustrating or a little bit repetitive if all of them use exactly the same method. So the Ixalan god came about because we felt like we wanted to find a fun way to make them more
Dark Master Gaming, what's up, bro?
Have that kind of immortality feeling. But to tie it in with the mechanics that we were using in the set, and one of the mechanics of Ixalan is, transforming cards with lands on the back. So we thought that this was just a great way of it capturing their, sort of divinity, the fact that they always come back, but also getting to put some awesome art of what their temple would look like.
So far,
the monuments.
We'll let this guy continue, but
and to just find a new, different way of representing godhood. So in general, I personally really like it. I think it's a cool, interesting, different take on things. Also, sometimes your god dies, you get a land, and then you get to play your second copy, and now you just get to have another god, but also have a land in play. So there's, I think, a lot of fun and interesting stuff going on. But I also think that it's something that I'm not sure if we'll return to, or if next time we'll just find another different way of having the gods feel godly. So I think that having that variety among the god cards, even some gods that we've seen multiple times, have had different kind of forms of immortality. It's certainly a lot of what Magic is all about, is finding new and different and exciting ways of representing these themes that we return to.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Best Bant Merfolk commander is Derevi. It depends. Do you want your glimpse of nature in the command zone, or do you want your Merfolk Regery in the command zone? Different flavors there, but it can go back a little. There's an argument to be had. Does Zakama get a new card in the Precon or the main set? So we're not going to answer that because previews are still ongoing. But I will say that if you're interested in the Precons, those are going up tomorrow. So there are several outlets that are going to reveal full decks.
That's awesome. I didn't know, and I got to get ready.
Thursday, we should be able to review all the commander cards.
Sharing a lot of stories about the creation of those cards online.
Absolutely. If people want to hear those stories, how can they follow you?
You can follow me. I'm primarily on Twitter at Chris K. Mooney, and that's where I post a lot of my stories.
Yeah, so tomorrow when the commander decks go up, Chris will be chatting about it.
That's right. They were very fun to make, especially if you are,
Hey,
fans coming
TCG
in
Dude.
from the old Ixalan. If you have nostalgia for those old creature types, all 4 creature types have their own commander deck here, and there's a lot of fun and exciting cards, new and old.
All right, let's see. Let's see. Why not Sultai Merfolk Commander then? Black has Explore cards too. I think you kind of talked about that in the philosophy of it. Not a question, but a note. I'm still praying for a skeleton support legend. We'll just have to see.
Gavin did put out a couple of hints at some cards. In fact, I think 1 or 2 we saw today when we looked at the Sepulture cards. So in Gavin's hints, I will at least tell you that there is a card named Skeleton Crew. So
there you go.
There's some skeleton love coming. In fact, I think also there's a main set skeleton support card that we've spoiled today. So
I just got that wave of nostalgia because one of my first favorite cards was Skeleton Ship way back in the day. But okay, let's see. So I guess we're asking about commanders today. What about another Mardu vampire commander like Queen Meralda, for example?
Yeah, so we spent a lot of time thinking about what colors the commander decks should be. There is often a lot of pressure towards having the most colors possible.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to designing commanders, there also is a limitation on having lots of colors, because when we are designing them, we then have to compare them directly to other options of the same color identity. So for example, Clavileño, who is the leader of the white-black commander deck that we made, we got to put more power and more specific kind of deck building direction into him because he was only 2 colors, which limits your deck building.
Yeah.
Whereas if we had made a 3-color commander, we really would have had to ratchet the power down, or at least pay a lot more attention to how powerful the card was, because having access to the 3rd color adds so much power and so much flexibility. On top of that, when you have something like a very popular and very powerful commander in those color options, in this case being Edgar Markov.
Yep.
That is a very difficult card to compete with.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, if we are designing cards that have exactly the same color identity, it can be very challenging to, how do we make a card that is strong in a different way from this card, but has exactly the same color identity, exactly the same theme?
Yeah.
So oftentimes, when we are thinking long-term for Magic, we're not planning to stop making commanders. We're planning to make commanders for hopefully a very long time. And so what that means is that every opportunity we have to make a commander that has the most possible colors and be the strongest, sometimes we say hey, one day we'll come back to this, one day we'll do it, but let's take this opportunity to do something else. And in the case of Ixalan, the merfolk and the vampires being so specifically tied into those 2 color pairs, we felt let's represent how these factions are on Ixalan.
Oh, he stole your bird?
There will be many other opportunities for us to, make more multicolored commanders for these options. The same way that when we went to Innistrad, we did a black-red commander deck instead of a white-black-red commander deck. We could have made a 3-color one there, but vampires on Ixalan are much more focused on black and red, and we felt like there was an opportunity there to try and make a compelling 2-color commander instead of a 3-color one.
Okay. If you want to compete with Tulane for a merfolk commander, make it tap or untap things. Just give it the Mirror Regery ability, and then also the card draw ability. You can make it cost 12. I don't care.
People out there, you can call me a hater. I don't think that I personally am trying to compete with Tulane. I'm trying to make, some cards that are maybe more interesting, is what I'll say.
All right. Okay, so there are a lot of questions about where is this character? Are we going to get a new version of this? And we're not going to spoil the rest of previews because the answer might be yes, the answer might be no.
There's a lot of main set left.
There's a lot of main set left. There's the commander decks left, which like to do new versions of beloved characters. But maybe you can talk a little bit about the philosophy of when to bring back old characters and when to give them new versions, when to give them old versions.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's very much a collaboration between my team, which is the card design team, and the creative team, who's in charge of weaving together the art, the names, the flavor text, and the story of Magic. So a lot of the times, it is a big collaboration. It's not really one team or the other deciding everything that goes down, but it's more like the creative team will come in with a list of characters that they're interested in us representing. Sometimes we'll come in saying, oh, this card was really memorable. We want to do that character again.
Yep.
Sometimes we'll just make a card, and then the creative team will say, oh, we have a character that would fit perfectly with the design that you made, so we're going to put that character, on this card. So it's really big collaboration, and because of that, it makes it difficult to answer, if you want to see characters, just expressing your love for those characters, telling people, at Wizards that you want to see those characters, that's the best way, because honestly, it is such a collaborative element. There isn't one specific person or specific group or specific team that's like, all right, here's all the characters we're definitely going to do. What that means, though, is that sometimes, things get lost in the shuffle. Maybe there's a character that, we ended up not making a card for just because it happened to get squeezed out due to space, or because, it just, we didn't, there's a lot more fans of this character than maybe we thought at first. So expressing your love for the characters is something that really helps us determine who to bring back. But also, with things like, Modern Horizons type sets, and with just the general state of the multiverse right now, where characters can travel through open paths and show up on other planes. There's a lot more opportunities to bring back characters than maybe there were in the past.
Yeah.
So if you want to see characters, definitely just expressing us and telling us how much you love them or who you want to see again, then that might help to inspire us to make a new card of that character.
All right. Last question I think that we're going to have time for. Was the craft mechanic a bottom-up or top-down design? I would have thought it would also fit well on a plane like Kaladesh.
Crafting was definitely a top-down design. We started on this underground adventure journey, like what makes sense, what's something that fits in with that genre. And we felt like, crafting all of your tools or finding a cool discovery that you have to rebuild, that felt very fitting. And then additionally, as the creative team, introduced the Oltec, who are the long lost civilization that lives within the center of Ixalan.
Mm-hmm.
They also had a very sort of advanced technology theme to them, where the surface dwellers of Ixalan, their technology is a little bit, it's behind ours. A real world Earth past. The Oltec sort of have continue to evolve and create these like amazing feats of technology, and we thought that was also a great representation of crafting as well, of showing off that sort of ability to have this advanced technology within the center of the Earth. So it was definitely inspired by flavor first, and we tried to figure out what would best represent putting multiple things together to create something new.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris, for taking us on this exploration of Lost Caverns of Ixalan previews. Thank you for joining us and asking a bunch of great questions, hanging out for an hour. Next up, we have more content. Usually, Weekly MTG just kind of throws to a blank screen, but the Extra Life employee streams continue with an employee named Nick, who's going to be playing, I believe, Commander.
I am good on that.
Lupo and some friends. That's going to be happening right after this, so definitely stay tuned if you want to check out some cool Commander gameplay. Lost Caverns of Ixalan previews are continuing through the end of this week, so there's more previews to come all up through Friday. And then pre-releases start next week. So a week from Friday, you'll be able to experience the set yourself. And then next week on Weekly MTG, it'll just be me hanging out, opening some packs of Lost Caverns of Ixalan to get a look at what the opening experience for the set is.
Yay, we get to watch them get confused.
So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you
That might
next
be
week.
fun.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. All right. Well, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tune in for the Extra Life because they had that going before, and it was just like employees, the females employees just yapping and like had nothing to do with anything. And then they would go, "Oh yeah, Secret Life, donate."
Donate.
I'm like, okay. So I have here a D20.
Uh-oh.
I have to run some errands. I'm not sure when those will go down, but I want to give a time frame, but I don't know. So it's gonna be this afternoon for me. But we're gonna do some live commander play, and it's gonna be trick or treat, EDH.
Trick or
So
treat. Yeah.
yes, after turn 9, it's gonna be brutal or freaking awesome. I don't know. That's D20 is going to determine that. Let's just say you don't want a 1 because that sets your life total to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So just to speed up the game a little bit, and then maybe we can get 2 games in.
So, dude, it's going well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was your vacation?
It's getting boring.
Is it staycation? Really?
Yeah, it's getting boring. Well, it's not boring when I'm alone, but in the mornings it's getting boring. But I'm relaxed. Yeah. Don't know
So
if you
I need a piece of paper.
So, do you want the ruthless EDH, or do you want the happy-go-lucky, fluffy EDH?
Oh no! It's trick or treat. So I'm thinking we're gonna figure out the numbers or combination of numbers that are good. But like even's good, odd is bad.
All right.
The one is definitely. I'm actually gonna write out the things right now while I'm still thinking about it.
You're gonna write out a rule. You're gonna make a rule set of what the rule is. So when you play,
no, I mean, yeah, basically. Well, I mean, if it's not won by turn 9 or 10, it kind of needs to be, right?
I don't know. Well, your last game went so long because you had some
new people. Yeah,
you had a lot. You had a handful of people, plus you had a medium power level deck, so that was just the given.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I've been working on it and trying to find cards, and oh my god, I got it done.
Ooh. Nice. Bro,
not really. I just picked him because he's a god. This will be interesting, but I'm really not going to play off the commander that much.
Yeah.
But it is all my Jund God deck. It's kind of mainly staples, and not even all of them. And there's 24 Jund Gods. Well, maybe 25 if you include this guy, I think.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
So they're all in here.
Ew.
So I figured Halloween style dress up, gods. I think it'll work. So,
nice.
Anywho. Trying to find that piece of paper.
Not paper. So
that's a receipt. I can use that. We got one. 20's got to be super good. Well, I don't have to make it too complicated. We can do a combination of numbers.
Well, you want just some good numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 20 right. You definitely want to be good.
Right.
Just divide it by fives, basically. Like 1, 5, 10, 15, 20.
Okay. So 1, 5. No, 20's got to be good.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, just break it because, like, if every number did something, then everything would
be too crazy.
Right. But like, you could have 5 be like each player. Just no. You're trying to speed up the game, aren't you?
At the end, round 9 will be cool, and then 10 will be chaos.
Right. So like, you can have everybody wheel their hand for one of them, like discard their cards, draw that many cards, and take damage. You do that, chaos effect. You're basically kind of building a plane chase kind of theme.
Well, yeah. It just for today.
Just for today.
It being Halloween and all, I want that brutal but like super sweet too. So, let's do
tricks or treats.
Remember, odds are bad. Okay, and then evens are good, but the low evens aren't that great.
Hmm.
See, 2, 4. All right, so what's like cool, but kind of a like towards 2, 4, 6. I'll do bigger ones, so I'll probably break it down into 5. I think.
Sorry. I
No problem.
wasn't ignoring you. I was talking to more important people.
Wow.
How about a wheel?
That was me. He's important.
So yeah, the wheel effect to be for a negative effect where you make everybody wheel because you're just speeding up the game, ping him.
Yeah.
There's coffee if you want coffee. Then
Well, I'm thinking 3, 5, 7, still pretty bad. Life total becomes 5.
all right, that's pretty good.
And this will be everyone. I'm not going to roll for each person.
Mhm.
So just right when round 10 starts, boom, we got to roll off and see what happens. And then we have to do that every round after that till the game's done.
Oh,
But I don't know if it's going to extend out or what. All right, what do you got?
all right. So what number are you on now?
I can do another spiffy even, so like a medium, like cool.
Well, even like on one of the evens things, you should give people like some 1/1 tokens or something like that. Give them some board state advantage, so it starts turning the game around.
I'm gonna make exception.
Exception.
Because
9.
9's my favorite number,
Whoa,
so
whoa.
it'll be the only good odd. So you said a token, huh?
Yeah. Like give them like a 5/5 token with flying death touch or something. Oh, that's a spicy token. Trample.
There you go. Basic.
Oh yeah, make sure it's a demon because you know you love demons. Nice.
I mean, even if. All right.
That's a spicy number.
Yeah. Well, if you're at like 1 by then, that'd be a good come up.
Right.
Oh no! Let's do it right. Brutal
haste. Ooh. That's spicy.
All right, so we got 8. 8.
Yeah, we. Oh, right now he's making a game after the Ixalan spoilers.
Oh no, this is for Trick or Treat EDH later on today. I don't have a set time, but if you can help me start people off in the commander section, we'll do signups there. So I know who to hit up and give like 30 minutes to an hour. All right, so we need more numbers. All right, 16. There we go. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do. What do we got?
Well, you're speeding up the game.
Yeah.
Be everybody for those particular numbers, people draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. Or 3 life. Make it 3 life. 2 cards, 3 life.
Mm,
You're just
I'm liking the wheel.
Yeah, you do. All right, you do the wheel. That's the wheel a lot too. Wheel and lose life equal to cards in hand.
Oh no! How about per card drawn?
Well, that's kind of what happens. Usually, when you will, you discard the cards in your number hand. So if you did will like 7 cards, you usually draw 7 cards, unless it's particular. Discard your hand, draw 7 cards.
Maybe you draw 7.
All right. That's a tough one. That's a good one.
Well, it's kind of brutal, so maybe that.
Well, it is brutal.
Yeah, but we want the game to speed up so we can get to the second one.
Yeah.
All right, and then let's see.
Bing, bing, bing.
So we got 7. So 11. All right.
15, 17, 19. Ooh.
What's up?
I was reading the numbers you're writing down. Okay. What would be a good non-wheel effect? Because the wheel's pretty spicy as it is.
Yeah.
What's a good adverse thing? I don't know.
Oh, I got one. Well, that one was bad. So maybe life becomes 6.
Such a kitty. He's such a kitty. You are. I don't know where you are. Kitty was looking for attention.
See, life becomes 6 plus discard 2 cards.
I see what you're doing. You're just giving yourself a chance to win.
No.
No kidding.
Discard 2 cards. I was gonna say if he can't, then I don't know, lose life.
Sacrifice a creature.
Or sack a creature.
Yeah. There you
Or
go.
sack 2.
All
2
right.
creatures. Hold on. If you can't, lose 3 life. So I can put you down to 3.
Yeah. Be alive. So you discard 2 cards, or you sacrifice 2 creatures, or you lose 3 life. I think at that rate, I'd rather lose 3 life.
Yeah. Well, I think it's got to be like you have to. And then 20 would be the sweet spot. We'll do a wheel. Not a wheel, but
No, don't do it, Will.
No, the wheel. The wheel. Not
Like spin the wheel.
spin the wheel.
All right. Spin a wheel for a random ability, and you're gonna have good abilities listed.
Yeah.
So spin the wheel, turn, turn, turn. What is the lesson we should learn? Yeah. You're so cute. You're so cute. You're so cute. Mm-hmm.
How about they get a big beefy creature?
This is cattail. This is a cattail, everybody, in case you're wondering.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming just like a 2020 haste or.
That's not bad.
Well, what are you thinking?
Well, no, the spin the wheel. You just make some pretty powerful, dorky stuff that you can win with, or get power
Well,
swing.
no, I'm just gonna spin the wheel. Whoever wins on the wheel is gonna get the thing to help them win.
The person who rolls the 20 should get the wheel.
No. Okay. So at turn 10, I'm gonna roll off. This is for trick or treat.
Oh,
Okay. So I want to finish the game in under 2 hours so we can possibly do a second game.
right.
Okay. So I want something really good, but that will help you win the game. Because we don't know who's gonna win it. It's just I'm gonna roll off and then like go like maybe 2 turns and then roll off again.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought this was something that you were going to start rolling off every turn.
Oh well, I'm thinking about it, but we'll see. I don't want
Like
I don't want this to
turn 9.
continue. Huh?
Right. Yeah, I thought it was after turn 9. Like you're going to start doing it every turn. That's what I thought. That's why I was trying to think of not so broken but fun things to do.
Well, that's why I was trying to make it like, either once a turn, once each turn, or like every other.
Right.
Something. I don't know. But yeah. So if we roll a d20, the random person is gonna get what?
Well, no, you have to spin the wheel. They get a 2020 token. There you go.
Yeah, a 2020 token.
Yeah, that's all it needs to be.
With haste or anything else?
Trample. You want it to be able to be taken care of too.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. 2020 trample.
It won't matter if you're not the first person.
No, I wouldn't worry about haste. Because if they get it on the turn that's not theirs, then it's gonna be able to attack if it didn't have haste. So. And that's already half a life to a swing.
Spells.
What does it say?
It can't be targeted by spells. No.
Could have just been hexproof there, but
no. In other words, I don't want you to be able to pump it up or anything. It's just, I don't know. Screw it. This is 2020 trample vanilla.
2020 trample's still pretty huge.
Oh, I know. that should help.
I mean, the next worst thing you could have done is given it lifelink.
Oh God, no. So too complicated?
No, I like it. Of 9 and 20 are the best rules you want.
Oh yeah.
Even though 9/9 token, see 9, you get a 9/9 token, but your life becomes 9. That's rough.
Yeah.
Then 20.
Well, 11 through 19's rude too.
Right, but 20 you get a straight up 2020 token with no backside. Oh, you get a wheel spin? Oh no, never mind. Yeah. 2020 backside, that's pretty epic.
Yeah.
Then all the other spins, the wheel effect is gonna turn the game around. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I think it's pretty good trick or treaty.
Yeah.
So you got Yeah, it should help speed up the game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna be rocking rats and Jund Gods.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny. I had Time to Need. I couldn't find it anywhere, dude. I'm just like, whatever. I'm over it.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
I'm working on my Eldrazi deck.
oh, are you? Nice.
Well, I know I've been working on it. I don't know if I'll be able to play. We got plans today.
Right.
It's the midnight. Evil zombies are coming out to play.
Yeah,
Right.
I have to make dinner later and entertain guests. So I'm
How
gonna
dare
do
you
early
eat
game.
dinner and entertain guests?
I know, right? They should do it.
The guests are supposed to come over and entertain you.
Yeah, exactly. And they should make me food. No, I'm just probably gonna get some chicken and whatever. Hopefully catch a horror flick or some kind.
Speaking of horror flick, we watched Five Nights at Freddy's last night.
Oh yeah, how was it?
Pretty good.
Huh.
There's a
I have not
cameo
seen
in there
that.
there's a cameo in there that you will not want to miss, and it's if you have Peacock, it's free on Peacock right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had to borrow heavily from Vondrus and Prosper to get this done. So
Mhm.
it's interesting. It's like not a lot of synergy. I mean, it's just kind of all the gods lumped together with and some manlands for funsies, I guess. Two mana dorks. But it's all gods except for the 2 mana dorks. But there's a card in there that's pretty cool. It's uncommon from Dominaria United. It itself taps for any mana, and then there's no tap ability or anything, so you don't need to do anything. You could tap one of your legendaries to pump out a mana of any color. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Sounds pretty good.
If I get my devotion up, I'll have a lot of gods, or whatever, just the puny gods from Kaldheim. They're good, but I mean, they die.
Right. They learned their lesson. They'll try better. They'll try better.
But I wish I had that bat god to throw in here. That would have been fun.
Looking at, I need to get a copy of. There's a dragon that costs 4 mana, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it makes an XX token equal to that non-creature spell's converted mana cost. I'm like, I need that in my life.
Mana. I know what you're talking about. It was out of is it Crimson or Midnight Hunt?
I think it's Crimson. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Yeah. So what do you think about the card spoiled today, man?
I was definitely happy that Moo had Simic colors in them.
That what? Oh yeah.
Yeah. I would have been upset if he didn't. I also wish they did not where they showed his face.
Yeah, it was just like the back of the scientist. Like it should have I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the dragon I'm talking about is called Maniform Hellkite. Yeah.
I have to go save him.
And so, yeah, I heard. Yeah, I nodded at you.
Hello.
Hello. I nodded at you.
I nodded too.
I know we're about to wrap up, so
yeah, we're wrapping up right now. Thanks for tuning in. This was kind of last minute. I saw on there on Twitch that they had the extra live stream, and then that this was still popping up, but I wasn't sure. So else I would have set up a thumb and did all the things. But I was like, oh no, he's actually going to preview cards. Okay, let's get set up.
Preview.
Yeah, previews.
Yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead.
I love the Jurassic Park spoilers.
Yeah,
I wish there were more, but there were no more apparently.
That's weak.
But there's some spicy. That green card that sacrifice a creature, search for a creature card is pretty spicy.
Yeah, that is pretty spicy.
And they put it on the worst movie too, which is funny.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. This last movie was just kind of like slow.
Right.
You saw it, right?
Yeah, I seen all the movies.
Yeah, the last one was just kind of eh.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's overall wasn't a bad series. I
No.
do love the scene where the Tyrannosaurus Rex is loose in San Diego and it eats that dog.
Yeah, that's what happened to
It's
puppers.
like, yeah, it's just like, I don't know how to. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Timmy.
Yep, poor puppers became a snack.
I know. Poor puppers.
All
All right. Well, we're gonna wrap up. I will see you later today after I run my errands. I'll be able to give you guys a time, but we're gonna do trick or treat karaoke. I wish trick or treat EDH in 3, 4, 5 hours. I don't know. I'm not sure yet, but look in the Discord if you're in there and to sign up. So, all right. We'll catch you later.
See you later. Bye.